Hi, I am Adriana Zehbrauskas. I'm a Brazilian documentary photographer and photojournalist based in Phoenix, Arizona. My work is mostly focused on documenting underrepresented communities, migration, religion, and the aftermath of the drug wars in Central America.
I'm a very old school photographer in every sense, in the way that I like to photograph the things that are happening in front of me without interfering in any way in the moment when I'm shooting and after I shoot it. I think actually the one of the greatest thing about photography is the moment when you're shooting, and that moment when everything comes together in that inside that rectangle, and waiting for that moment, and that magic moment, the composition and the content of the story come together in that one frame. I think that is the best and the most fun part of photography. And I think that I I try to do that when I shoot. I try to have the right light. I try to do everything the moment I'm shooting. I don't like to do. It's like when I didn't want to. When I said before that I didn't have patience for the dark room, I still do not have patience for Photoshop. And so if I think that I have to work too much on post production, that means that I did not get the photo right in the first place. So I'm not even going to bother. Like spending so much time, trying to fix it. And beyond that, the ethics of photographing goes beyond that, like the not interfering physically or asking people to do something for you or reenacting a scene. I think is about understanding the story you're working on and not misleading people with the story or with a photo. I think it's about not misleading your subjects, because sometimes as photojournalists, we ask people to do things, but, like, can you talk to me about this? We're working on some story, and then would you be a subject in this story? Can we interview you? Can we take your picture? And then sometimes we have to understand that some stories are very complicated and very delicate and sensitive, and it could really put some people at risk. And we have to understand that how far can we go, and how far can we ask people to be part of our stories. And if I say, I will do everything I can to preserve your integrity and your image, and if you don't want your face to be shown, or all that, and then I have to do that, that's one of the most important parts of being a journalist. Like, we cannot mislead the public, or mainly the subjects of a story. But still, you have to ask yourself, if what you're going to do are going to put someone else in risk, and is it worth it? And what are the consequences of you doing that image, and shooting that picture? I try to be very, very respectful of people's spaces and their lives, and I don't like to steal any images or steal photographs. I like to be able to work, and I like to be very upfront about what I'm doing and what people can expect from me. Like in Guerrero, or there's so many stories that we work. People say, "Oh, so this story is going to help change, my life. Is this something's going to change, and this is going to bring something?" And I have to tell them that I cannot promise them anything. I mean, the intention is so, but I can't guarantee that anything's going to happen. So I can't. It's really my job here is to tell the story, and I can't predict the outcome. And obviously, the idea is always, that will bring some kind of change and bring some awareness to what we're showing. But it's something that we can't control, and I can't promise that. But yeah, but I always, I try to explain what I do, because most of the times people don't really understand what we're doing. You know, even people that we are interviewing, you know, they don't understand the consequences, and some people just say no first thing. Can I do this? No. You know, that's the first reaction, is always a no. And then, especially on the phone, so that's why I try to go in person to meet the people and talk to them in person when I'm asking for access, because one thing is talk to a stranger on the phone, and one thing is talking to a real person in front of you, and that usually works. You know, we can explain, and you know, there's the chemistry, the relationship, like, you know, between people, that it's important. You know, when you need access to something. But yes, there are, you know, moments where you're in a funeral or you're interviewing someone, you know, and it happened many times, and the person starts crying, and then, you know, it's hard. It was very difficult for me in the beginning to understand, like, should I stop photographing now? Should I keep photographing now? You know, this is a very strong moment, it's a very intimate moment, but am I crossing the line here? You know, like, so I think that there's there must be this, first of all, kind of this respect, that I understand what this person is going through, and at the same time, I think my intentions are important. That why am I doing this? Why am I photographing this person in this situation that's so vulnerable? Why is it because it's gonna, you know, just because it's gonna, you know, I'm gonna get a great photo and then I might get famous one day because of this photo? Or is it because of this photo, it's gonna, I'm gonna be able to have a stronger image that will bring more attention, and then probably more, you know, more awareness to it. And so I think it's really about your intentions and being respectful and truthful to yourself and to your job, and obviously, most importantly, to the person you're photographing. And I think sometimes, you know, if you stop to ask everything, you don't, you know, you miss the moment. So you can't really be asking all the time, but there's a way, there's a body language, there's a way that you look to a person that says, can I do this? You know, like, I'm doing this. Is that okay? You know, if you don't like it, just tell me to stop, and I'll stop. You know, so there is this many ways of communicating. It's important that, you know, someone can be there. I mean, we can't be everywhere, you know, all the time with good cameras. So obviously it's important, but I think it's like a one moment thing. Like, it's, you know, you were there for that moment, that instant, and it doesn't mean that you are a trained photographer, a trained journalist that knows how to deal with all the situations, you know, all the time. You know, it happened once, and okay, you were there at that moment, and it's important you got the good photograph that can help, you know, shed some light into something, and it's valid, and I think it's totally valid. But I just do not think that this can take the place, you know, of trained journalists. You know.